there, everyone. Today I just wanted to do a quick, somewhat brief video to share with you some of my ideas on art journaling, like how I got started, help some beginners get started. I had a few people ask, some simple questions about getting started very basically, inexpensively, and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought I'd share a few things with you, some of my ideas and things I thought of, as I was getting started. So basically, what you need to really get started is a journal, essentially, right? And this was my journal that I've been using. This is an 8.5 by 11 journal. This journal I picked up in an art supply store, and it's probably about $9, maybe $10 tops. But there's all sorts of sizes this comes in. This is an 8.5 by 11, and you'll see I have a few. 6 by 6. I have, I think this is a 4 by 6 size. And this one, see if the tag's on this, 5.5 by 8.5. So, and this is all the same brand, so they do come in various sizes. And over the course of some time, I ended up collecting a bunch, none of which are filled by any means. Not to spend a whole lot of money to get started, see if they like it. And this was my owl book that I've used. One of my tips, if you do use a book, one of my tips, and I've learned this from many of the wonderful artists out there like Melody Ross or Chrissy Tomlinson, probably Donna Downey might have said it before, I don't know. Basically, when you use a book, what you're going to want to do, one of my suggestions would be, is to take a few pages and glue them together, adhere them together, and then rip a few pages, glue a few pages, and rip a few pages out. And that'll give you some space for it to expand and grow. I don't know if you can see that right there. And that's basically how I'll start. I'll start like this was the front cover and the first page. I glued a bunch of pages together. I ripped a bunch of pages out. I glued a bunch of pages together. I ripped some out. And that'll give you a little bit of expansion for your book. So what kind of a glue would be good for that and adhering? The best for beginners, I would say, the most inexpensive, best glue to try to get started would be your trusty old Mod Podge. Mod Podge is fabulous. I guess it's a little more like watery or runny, not as thick as some other things. I'll show you another one that I love to use. But this will be probably your most inexpensive. A container like this, it's probably $5 or $6 perhaps, maybe 6, 7, 8, I don't know. Again, but it'll last you a long time, that container. I've had this forever and it still has a lot in it. Gels, matte mediums, also I use this all the time as well. Those will glue pages together. These are great for sealing over pages, and you'll see me use that all the time. A container like this will be a little bit more expensive. I usually try to get them at like Michael's or Joann's and use my coupon on it, so you will get a nice, it's a nice discount. My local art supply store, is somewhat inexpensive as well, so sometimes it's not so bad just to buy it from there because they already have a discount of their own. The next thing that I think is important, you might see different people talk about the gesso. Basically, at all my journals, I have been using gesso on all my pages. This gesso, this container, I got at Walmart, actually, I think for less than $10. So, and again, it lasts a long time. You're not going to go through it in a couple days or a week. It's going to last you a really long time. So that's an inexpensive gesso to use. Some of the, Liquitex, this brand, they make gesso. Golden makes gesso, and it's all much more expensive. It was funny. I went out and bought another container of gesso just the other day because I couldn't find this full. This is completely full, brand new. Couldn't find it anywhere in my studio. And I went out to Michael's and I got a huge container. I'll show you that. I bought this one. I haven't tried it yet, but it's a Liquitex brand, a basic gesso. And this is a huge 64-ounce container. And I think I got this for like $10 to $12. So it was because I had a 40% off coupon. So they were $19.99 at Michael's. Used my coupon, so it was actually cheaper than this that I got at Walmart. So I'm gonna give this a try and hoping it's just as good. I'm sure it is. I'm not looking for any fancy stuff necessarily. So it's worked. These things have worked well for me so far. So these are some of the basic things. If you're totally brand new and you're really not sure what you want to do, or try the Mod Podge to start. Mod Podge will glue your pages together if you're using a book. Mod Podge will seal over your pages. Like on this book cover, for example, I used some cardstock, and then I probably used, you know, a Mod Podge or the matte gel to seal it and adhere it to the page, and it's a nice smooth finish. And then everything else you see on here are just stamps. So we'll get to that as well. So you're basically, my suggestion is your first step is picking a journal, something you want to play in. Some people even use regular composition notebooks. This is another one that I have, spiral bound. One time I bought a few spiral bounds, but I was kind of didn't like them as much because I felt limited with the spiral in the middle. But some people love the spiral bounds as well. And again, not too expensive in some of those art stores if you have coupons at Michael's. So I guess the next thing to think about is color. So you're going to want to work color, paints and inks and different types of mediums. So some of the things that I like to use are just basic craft paints. And again, if you want to talk about inexpensive, I was just at TJ Maxx this morning actually, and I picked up, this is gouache. I had never used it before, so I don't have anything to tell you about it yet, but it was only $3.99 at TJ Maxx, which I know some of these sets are pretty expensive. So I was like, you know what? For that, I'm going to pick it up and give it a shot and see what it's like. So you can pick up in Michael's, Joann's, even Walmart sells them. You know, your basic, probably 59 cents to $1 bottle kind of thing. You know, they go on sale all the time. Pick up a bunch. These things are great. Perfect. You can totally use these paints. I just recently have a bunch of these bottles sitting around. Recently got little circle stickers and color coded them all so that when they're sitting up straight, I can just see the tops and see the colors easier, so it would make it so much easier to find my colors. Other colors are coloring mediums. Ink pads are definitely another one, which I use a lot of. These are currently, I'm going to show you my favorite right now, the neon. Neon's back, people. Hero Arts neon pads. Fabulous, beautiful colors. Again, some of these ink pads, they're not, if you're looking for inexpensive, not necessarily very inexpensive, but it's the kind of thing you can slowly collect and get your hands on. One site that I love is Blitsy, where every day there's, or I guess, I don't know how often they do it, but every day, you can check it out and you'll see new deals, and a lot of times you'll see the ink pads and the paints and different things. The Distress Inks by Tim Holtz. Fabulous inks to play with. And then one of the things you want to think about also when you're picking out coloring mediums in a journal, is some of these things, for example, these paints or the sprays that I like to use, the dilution sprays, kind of they'll react with water. Not sure if I should say water-based, but they will react with water. So you put down these inks and you spray water on it, they're going to run and react. And that's the whole point of these mediums. You want them to do that. I had a page, I've been using these all the time recently. I had a video, one of my first videos, if you've seen, I was just playing around with my stencil showing how I create a background. I didn't like, that background came out all kinds of dark and weird. I didn't like it. And I kept going back to it to play with it again and again. I'll show you after what became of it. And I used all these on that background, and so last night it was actually, I'm sitting there and thinking, I need to get rid of some of this color. I had a paper towel, wet it with water, and I just started patting all over and, spritzing the water on, or a water spritzer on the page with all that color that I didn't care for so much, and it was all pulling off, and I was actually able to pull it off and lighten it up, and it actually came out nice. So that's what you want to think about. These things aren't going to be permanent. If you made a page and you go back to it later and you add something wet or water, it's going to react and you're going to lose some of the color. One of the things I would suggest, if you're going to end up thinking you might use stamps and stuff like that sort, one ink pad you should pick up, in my opinion, is an archival. I use this one by Ranger, the archival inks, and they're waterproof, fade-proof, fabulous. And I definitely would recommend. These come in all sorts of colors. I use the black most often. I have a few other colors in the Ranger I've picked up. I have a blue, a brown color, and this is just one of my old black ones. What other kind of colors? There's you can use all sorts of inks. There's another ink that I like that you will see me use at some point. This is by Liquitex, and these are liquid, very liquidy inks. They come in eyedroppers, and you can just, you can drop your ink on. You can almost paint with it. A lot of fun stuff you can do with these guys. These guys, to collect a bunch of these are going to be a little bit more expensive, but, you know, they're fun if you kind of want to get into that. That's another thought. Claudine Helmuth Studios has fabulous paints. These are acrylic paints as well. I have 3 colors of these guys. I haven't collected too many of those. And these are cool. They're very transparent, so you'll put the paint on, you can see what's underneath. So you can add layers, but yet see what's underneath and play with those as well. So those are some fun paints. And then one of the other last things that I'm going to mention are the gelatos, and you may have seen these as well. I'll just take some of these out. These, they look like little chapsticks, which, since I always carry a chapstick in my pocket at all times, I kid you not, I probably have one right now. I'll even show you to prove it. Always have a chapstick on hand. Anyhow, so they look, they're just very similar to chapstick. And these are like crayons, very soft, very smooth, crayony, and again, it's like it reacts with water. You can paint with them. I haven't done a whole lot yet, but these are a lot of fun. And so they sell them, and you'll see them in sets of 3 if you look online, and even at Michael's and those stores. You can find these all over, and they're somewhat big right now. I know they just had some new awesome fun colors come out. So that'll be something else that at some point I'll show, and I'll play with those as well. So color, you need some color, you need some inks, you need some paints, some gelatos, some all sorts of things, watercolors, watercolor pencils, markers. There's all sorts of ways to get color. Ways to get some texture in there. You've probably, if you've seen, again, I'm always referring to Christy and Melody Ross, Donna Downey, because I love their styles, and I've taken a lot of the classes, especially from Christy Tomlinson. Love her stuff. And you'll hear she'll talk about texture on the pages and on canvases, and stamps is a huge thing. Me being a stamper or a card maker, I have loads and loads of stamps, so it's what I will always use on my pages typically. One of the companies I get a lot of my stamps from is Unity Stamp Co. They're online. You can probably find some of their stamps in some of your local stores as well. But they're definitely reasonable. A great company, sales every week, I kid you not, like every Thursday. And so it's always some wonderful things. And they have great stamps for even this art journaling. They're in the process, I know, of starting up a monthly club of sorts where you're going to get a new art journaling themed based, kind of for the theme of art journaling, I believe, stamp once a month to, like a subscription service. That I haven't seen that come on their website. They have it coming soon, so we'll see what happens there. But anyhow, here are some of their stamps, and these are some of the background stamps that I have. I believe all of these are Christy Tomlinson's stamps for Unity, so well-used stamps. Love them. When I'm using them in my art journals, typically I don't even mount them. You'll just see me stamp them in the ink, stamp them like this, and just get some texture onto the pages. This is one of the new ones I just got. I haven't even opened, and you can see Unity's packaging. It's totally wonderful. So stamps are fabulous. If you don't have any, could totally be brand new to all of this, and you don't have any stamps, again, check out Unity. They have sales. You can find some inexpensive stamps. Pick up some backgrounds. Those are perfect for art journaling. Some sayings like words and things that you think sound be fun to put on pages. If you are near Michael's, Joann's, AC Moore, those types of stores, definitely check them out. They have, I know definitely Michael's has their what used to be dollar bin, but it's 2 for $3 now, so $1.50. But they always have different stamps in that bin. They always have all sorts of fun things you can use in your art journal there too. So it's another idea of place to find some stuff. Stencils is another way to get some texture. In my past videos you might have seen me use a lot of stencils. I love the Crafters Workshop stencils. Like here's one for example. There's stencils, loads and loads of companies out there that have different stencils. I keep seeing new ones as I explore more on the internet, and I'm like, oh, I've never heard of that one. So there's a lot out there. Stencils like this, just it's another investment. So if you see them and you want to pick up one and give it a try, you could also make your own stencils if you so choose. And I found this is by Plaid, Simply Stencils. It's just a thick plastic. It will easily, these are 2 sheets actually, it goes through the Big Shot. It probably will go through the Cuttle Block. I didn't try it. I used my Big Shot, and I made my own stencils. You can cut them out yourself. Draw your own picture. But here are some that I made. And these circles I basically used a circle cutter. I think I used a circle cutter, or you can use a punch probably. So those are some stencils. These right here, this one, this I think was one, I used a die, a Sizzix die. This was the Tim Holtz die. It was like the birdcage one. I forget the exact name of it. And these make wonderful stencils. This I tried was a great. It's all the same material, the same by Plaid. I ran this through my Big Shot with an embossing folder, and I believe this embossing folder was one of the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders, because I know they're very deep, those folders, and it created this texture where I could almost just kind of stamp on my page and get that texture, and it does come out with some paint. So there's the foam from Ranger that, you know, I actually have them labeled. I use them with the Distress inks, but I have a whole pad of these, and I'll just cut them up and use them with my ink. Like my for example, my neon inks, I cut up a couple of squares, and I keep these just specifically for my neon inks, so I can use them with my neon inks. And again, you can just cover your page with ink if you want, play around with just the dry ink like that, you do stencils and all that kind of stuff. At a future video, I'll play with some of this stuff just to kind of share with you how I do some of that as well. Let's see. Another thing would be paper. Use paper in your books. Let's see, these guys. Well, this one, for example, this is I think it's like about a 4x6 book, and I had gotten to the point where I didn't want to make cards, wasn't quite into the painty art journaling thing, so this was like my way of creating in a book similar to the way I create on cards, I guess. I remember thinking about this. This was like last summer, I think. But I did use paper. The background, I had some like a newsprint type paper. I adhered in there. I made layers, and you can kind of do that with all sorts of different papers. So, you know, take some of your scrapbooking paper and just, you know, add them into your journal. But this is all paper here. This is all created with paper, you know. And that's not the background, but it's using my cardstock. So, you know, if you're a card maker and you have a lot of that around, that's a perfect way to get a nice background. Just lay it out randomly, or, you know, in a pattern or whatever. This page, for example, does have some paper, a little bit of paper in there. If you can see, this was the cutout from the Tim Holtz die. So I cut it out. It's cut out on pattern paper. The birds are all pattern paper. So it was a way of using it, incorporating it into my book. You know, and you can use it on pattern paper to create your entire background. Don't want to use inks and paints like I've been using and sprays? Take your pattern paper, put that on your background, glue it down, use your Mod Podge, use your gels, you know, stamp all over it, that kind of thing. And lastly, I just wanted to mention one other thing that I use and love quite often, if I can find them right now, are different pens. Some people you'll see use Sharpies, and they can work fine, I think. I think Sharpies are typically felt tip, so if you get them wet, I believe they do actually get ruined. Some people have different ballpoint type pens they'll use in their art journaling. So you'll see a lot of times I'm drawing, or I've used black ink pen in my books. The Uniball, this is Uniball. This is the Signo Uniball pens. You'll find those in scrapbooking stores. I'm sure Michael's has them. This is for the white ink. And then my favorite, absolute favorite, is the Scarlet Lime pen. This I think is also, I don't know if it's a Uniball or Permaball, I forget what it was, but I know this is one of the pens you'll see Christy Tomlinson use all her videos, and she always, you know, raved about how well they work, and even if it's wet it still works, and it is a fabulous pen. And she was able to start selling them in her store, the Scarlet Lime, so I bought a few of those, and totally worth it. Oh, here's one other thing I'm going to show you. I just picked this one up too, actually. I didn't even open it. This is by Making Memories makes them, Paint Store has them, but these are just like little rubber texture tools. And I know I had another one as well. I don't know where that is right now. But these are fun little ways of getting fun texture on your paper because of the edges. I didn't even open this guy yet. But you go right through your paint and you'll get fun textures, and that's something to check out. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Feel free to write it down below or message me. I think that's all for now. So thanks for watching. I hope to have some more videos coming soon, and let me know if you enjoy it and if you'd like to hear more from me. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.